Hi everybody, my name is Chris Armiger. I'm a driver engineer with Fort Myers Beach Fire Department, an acting lieutenant, and getting ready to take some promotional exams this year in 2021. I've been in a bunch of classes, probably see most of you starting from the bachelor's program all the way through now to the master's, so it's good to see everybody again. And if I haven't met you before, my name's Chris. So a review of chapter one. I'm at a conference up in Pensacola Beach right now, so I've been haven't had the opportunity to get to this until now. Just reading and reviewing material and teaching at this conference, and I had to squeeze chapter one in here in the last 2 days and get this post done kind of quickly. So I made some notes. I'm going to kind of refer to my notes and give you some dialogue about them. So the question was, what was the influence of international disasters on me as a person in my career, and for the state and the country? So international disasters, obviously they have to do with things that affect everybody at various stages in their life, both personally and professionally. And so me as a person, personally, I'm a homeowner in the state of Florida, and we have had over, since emergency management and disaster tracking, was ever a thing. The text goes back all the way to ancient times and talks about the paddle wheels to, move water around in Egypt, and the start of the fire service in the Roman period. But to bring it more to date, we've had devastating hurricanes for the last 100 years, and then in the last 50 years, and most predominantly probably the last 20 years, they've really started costing a tremendous amount of money. So the text throws this point out here that disasters tripled since the 70s, and the number of dead has gone down by 50%. So there's more occurrences, but less deaths. And so where does that come from? Well, that comes from money. We've been throwing a ton of money at it to increase infrastructure, increase resiliency, things like that over the years. So where does the money come from? The money comes from people who pay their insurance premiums, as far as like how things affect me as a person. So the community that I live in, my wife and I are looking at building a house now, and we had about a 25% cost into the estimate to build a house from the same house we looked at building about 3 years ago, because of the offsets. And now we have to elevate our home. We've got to be 15 feet up. And I live pretty much on the beach, so I'm in like a flood zone. like I am the flood zone. So the river is a half a mile from my house, the Caloosahatchee River, and then I work right on Fort Myers Beach, which is a barrier island, is 5 miles from my house. So either way, the cost of premiums affect me personally, and that has to do with the effects of all these disasters over decades. So then, I look at how do things affect me in my career, and then, the career is developed into what it is today. I'm a chauffeur on a tower truck on Fort Myers Beach, but when I get done doing this kind of work in the next 10 years that I have left with my time on the job and my drop, I'm looking to get into emergency management. So that field has blown up. But there's been a lot of work that's come from it. Emergency management really started, really back, in the 50s with the whole civil defense stuff. That's when FEMA got started. So it's created, as far as my career resource, it's generated who knows how many jobs, just even beyond emergency management, but just new fields in construction, and engineering and architecture, and those sort of infrastructure development, civil engineering. It's beyond just like, hey, how do we get the pipes there? Where do we put the pipes? So the emergency management component of all these different construction disciplines has been added to it. My career, specifically, it's broadened the way that I look at things, and how, when I have meetings with the bosses in my agency, hey, we got to look at things on a broader scale. Let's write a grant. Hey, our AFG, we want 25 new air packs. But yeah, hey, chief, we maybe maybe we got to get some barrier devices for the beach. Hey, let's look at getting some water or sand walls that we can build, defend, build up around the stations. Hey, we need, generator backup for, more than the 72 hours. I mean, we're going to have operational periods, that go 10, 12 days before we can get resources back to the island. Hey, we don't have a marine unit because we have the Coast Guard station on our island. But hey, we need to consider getting a boat. They had a boat 25 years ago and never went back to it, especially after the Coast Guard put a station on the island. But we need to have a couple Zodiacs maybe to get guys on the island, to get girls on the island, or ways to get staging equipment. That's probably the biggest one. Is when we did our hurricane plan a couple years ago, the chief kind of knew I was doing this sort of stuff and says, "Hey, Chris, where do I got to put units? Where do I got to move stuff off the island? Where's the best spot? How soon? And what can I expect to get things back onto the island? Like, what's the literature say? Where do I even find this stuff?" So he kind of tasked me with that as a special project, and it's it's helped me. So not to make this post go on too long. How does international, the influence of international disasters affected the state and the country? I live in the state of Florida, so just to reiterate the hurricane stuff. A big thing has been land development, land usage, really, in the state. That has been affected, I think, from the reading and the stuff I've learned over the last few years. Didn't touch so much of it in the chapter for the book, but just carry over from other courses up to this point is, land usage and land development is critical. Redeveloping the coastal shorelines, floodplains. We have Lake Okeechobee, and I was on USAR for a number of years. I've come off of it, just because I'm doing other things. I got kids. I coach football, and I'm in school, working in grad school and stuff. But I learned a lot when I was on USAR, and I plan to go back, when my life allows me to. But just Lake Okeechobee every year, hey, swiftwater. Hey guys, this is the year. It's going to flood. We're going to lose the dikes. We're going to lose the barriers. We're going to lose the levees. Whatever. Lako, swiftwater, blah blah blah. It's always a big thing. But it gives opportunities to work things into our discipline, and it gives you other disciplines that you need to be aware of. So for our state, it's Florida, I think, is one of the most heavily awarded states when it comes to projects for resiliency and infrastructure projects, to get money from DHS and from FEMA to work on these plans, just because one of the things that the first chapter does mention is how we've identified over the last couple decades, but even the last 100 years, I got a flyover. The last couple of years, that even though we know that, like, living on the coastline, I'm in a 16-story hotel 100 yards from the Gulf of Mexico in Pensacola Beach. Like these are the most dangerous areas to populate, and they're going to cost us the most to mitigate and cost us the most to build resiliency in. But the population and the density of the populations that are on these coastlines and on these shores keep going up. Same thing like in California. Like, we have the whole Cascadian fault, and there's no development hasn't stopped there. They're building and building and building. I know the fault's there, but it's beautiful land, so people want to be there. So as far as my state, it's given us tremendous access to funds to build these things. And as a country, it talks about the summit every 2 years, get together and start talking about hey, lessons learned. I remember the one that I studied the most recently was they had the Bangladesh building collapse. And, that was a big international thing, because they had, there was some warehouse in Bangladesh and a couple floors collapsed because they had too many sewing machines and some jerry-rigged engineering, and, a lot of people lost their lives. But that didn't remain a local event, because there were so many people who had their names on those clothes that those people were making. International designers from all over the world. So it created a global outcry. And once people's names were attached to that stuff, they wanted for whatever reason, probably to salvage whatever reputation they had, to contribute to the fix of that. So these international disasters, we not only do we learn the lessons and we share the lessons globally, but we can share the blame. The blame, always comes down to money. So there was money coming in from Canada, from Europe, even from the States, for some of the people who paid to kind of resolve that issue in that Bangladesh and in the whole textile industry, the whole merchandising industry over there, to make those buildings safer, to make the conditions better. The failure in that, as I kind of follow that, has been, for 2 years we're going to track this, and we're going to fund it for 3 years, and we're going to send inspectors over there for the next 180 days, and then in 360 days we're going to give you a reinspection. But after about the 3, there might be a couple that were 5-year marks, but many of them were much less. A year. All that stuff goes away. So the failure in that's going to be, to keep funding it after the disaster, to make sure that corruption doesn't take that over, especially over there in India, and that the programs and the plans that people put on TV 3 months after it happened are sustained, to keep it safe. It's not just a big commercial. You're going to make people feel better about them or their products. So that's all I have today on this chapter, and I'll look forward to everybody else's posts, and I'll watch the posts, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and I'll see you on week 2. Okay. So good luck to everybody this semester, and it's nice to meet everybody, and good luck. I'll see you.